Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Zeynep Gökçe. Kyrgyzstan is emerging as one of Central Asia's most crucial crossroads. Squeezed between Russia and China, the country is now pivoting westward, expanding partnerships with the EU and Türkiye. At the heart of this shift is the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway that will carve a new southern corridor linking East Asia to the Middle East and Europe. But Kyrgyzstan's reach is no longer just regional. Bishkek has stepped into global humanitarian diplomacy, sending more than 150 tons of aid to Syria. That outward confidence was underscored by President Sadyr Japarov's recent visit to Egypt, signaling a new push into Africa and the Arab world. Türkiye remains a crucial partner, with Turkish companies driving major investments in infrastructure, energy and technology. And as Central Asia becomes a contested arena for global power, Kyrgyzstan is working to position itself not as a bystander, but as a bridge. I sat down with Edil Baysalov, the Deputy Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, to explore the country's fast-growing global footprint, from investments and rare earths to corridors, connectivity and future cooperation with Ankara. So I want to start with Türkiye-Kyrgyzstan relations, and recently the two countries signed a joint economic commission protocol which covers many fields from trade relations to energy. Now, how would you describe the current level of trade between the two countries, and what are the main sectors that are driving it? Also, where do you see the most potential for growth?
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to be on the program. Of course, Turkey is the fraternal country for Kyrgyzstan. Since the very first days of our independence, this Turkish Republic has been at our side. And we've always felt the support and the friendship, very close relationships. And as you said, recently, of course, our relations have been elevated to the strategic, comprehensive framework, this relationship. And the most important aspect of our relationship is not in trade, of course. It's not in trade, although recently our trade turnover has exceeded $1 billion. Turkey is the top 3 investors in our country, along with Russia and China. But for us, of course, this relationship is most important aspect is in our fraternal, that we are fellow Turkic nations, and for us this enrichment in cultural relations, and we are rediscovering our identity in all aspects, and Turkey has been instrumental in the Kyrgyz Republic, the Kyrgyz nation, regaining our own statehood and national independence. Trade turnover, I will tell you that we are seeing, of course, large enterprises. Turkish companies are now world class. They're enjoying great achievements worldwide. I recently traveled around Africa, and of course in Africa, Turkish business, Turkish economic ties very large. And so, of course, for us, very important this relationship. But for me, the most important for me is this small and medium enterprise. Turkish businessmen, Turkic people, they are famous for their entrepreneurship. And so I remember very well when our Turkish brothers and sisters have started arriving in Bishkek and opening these small businesses. And they were very welcome, and they are now backbone of our economy. There are thousands of Turkish entrepreneurs who moved with their families, and they have been not only making well for themselves, but also teaching business to a lot of our own young people. They are, of course, in the services, in tourism, in hotels, in other things. So I think, for me, I think these aspects that we can actually deepen and actually spread this entrepreneurship, this spirit of good business, honest business, we have a lot to learn from Turkish businessmen.
Yes, and you said that Türkiye has been by Kyrgyzstan's side since it was founded in 1991, and it's come a long way since then, whether it's economically or politically. It's been a long journey. So what gives investors reason to feel confident about Kyrgyzstan's stability today and the direction it's heading?
Absolutely. Our modern statehood, of course, we started as a former Soviet republic after 91. And I can tell you, next year we will be celebrating 35 years of our independence. And this relationship has been always very important. But until the last 5 years, changed this picture completely. Because after the election of the current president, His Excellency Sadyr Japarov, our economy has been growing at 9–10% real GDP growth. We have more than doubled our GDP. We have tripled our state budget. And I think next year we will be celebrated as top 5 world economy growing in the last 5 years. So this has provided our relationship completely new meaning. And this economic ties, trade ties, purchasing power of the Kyrgyz consumer market is much more interesting for the world famous Turkish manufacturers, but also between state, these purchases. Our relationship has been much more meaningful in the last 5 years, but it is only the beginning. We are now very much interested in Turkish technologies, in IT sphere. We of course celebrate our personal friendship with the family of Bayraktar. The company Baykar is, of course, very much has been instrumental. Our nation attaches great importance and value to this great innovation that now is coming. And it's only one example, actually, this company. But I think looking forward, we're seeing a lot of confidence. There's a lot of opportunity for foreign investors. And of course, Turkish business is best positioned because they have been invested in Kyrgyzstan. They speak our language. We share values. And so we do hope that actually Turkish banks, Turkish international investors, even the world companies, many European, American companies, they also managed, their headquarters are in Istanbul, most of them, or even when they come from America, they are represented by Turkish managers. So I think that I'm very confident that 1 billion trade turnover is, our leaders of our countries are aiming for this trade turnover to reach 5 billion USD in 5 years. So I'm very confident that we will achieve that goal.
Yes, and you talked about technology, and Kyrgyzstan wants to become a regional tech hub. Actually, it recently adopted the digital code to protect the rights of its citizens on the internet, also opened its first technopark, but it has competitors in the region such as Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. But how could Turkish expertise help Kyrgyzstan reach this goal, or at least what kind of a role can it play in helping Kyrgyzstan advance in this field?
Well, absolutely, of course. We are now entering the new economy, this digital age of artificial intelligence. We believe that we are best positioned because we have abundant green energy. And we are building now world-class data centers. This will be of a great giga scale. And we believe that we will have abundant electricity and cheapest in the region and cheapest, most affordable in the world. So one way or another, it's inevitable that we will be hosting many data centers. But also we have a young population, very well-educated population. And in terms of both manufacturing, but also in IT sector, we believe that we will have the educated workforce ready for the future that will form the main attraction for our economy.
Yes, and Central Asia is also seeing new platforms of cooperation, such as the organization of Turkic states and regional infrastructure projects. And in this process, I see Kyrgyzstan wants to become a bridge politically, culturally, but you are surrounded by regional giants. So realistically, how can small states benefit from regional integration while also protecting their independence?
Well, absolutely. Kyrgyzstan, along with other Turkic nations, our Turkic civilization was born along the Great Silk Road. We always were a bridge between the East and the West, between the North and the South. And so this natural role for us is continued, be it in trade, be it in transit, be it in IT corridors, and being together, having that great legacy, but also believing that our best years are ahead of us. I think these Turkic states of Central Asia, along with the now great economy of Turkey that is shining in the world, I think we can continue to serve as a natural bridge, as a natural mediator between the East and the West. We are not going to be playing, we don't have much time to play in these big geopolitical games or choosing sides. I think we will resist choosing sides. We will pursue pragmatic interest of our national development. That's the most important thing. That's what is asked by us, by our President Sadyr Japarov. Our government is charged serving the national interest of the Kyrgyz people. And so for us, the task is clear. We are focused on our own national development, and we will be cooperating, we will be trading, we will be talking with all countries of the world, with all the great powers, with all the smaller, medium powers. We do not have to choose sides, and I think we will resist the urge and temptation. We will be pursuing our own pragmatic interests.
And I want to come back to the Organization of Turkic States. It just held its 12th summit. So what were some of the key outcomes or decisions that came out of that summit that will have the most impact on Kyrgyzstan, but also the Turkic cooperation agenda?
Absolutely. Organization Turkic States is currently headed by Ambassador Ömür Aliyev, a Kyrgyz national. And I think his term coincided with the re-emergence of our organization as a very vital link for, first of all, it always was a club of our presidents. It's very important for our national leaders to have the opportunity to formally, informally come together several times per year. But it's also, of course, out of those meetings, a great boost is given to many of our bilateral ties, multilateral ties. We have several also cultural organizations, among them Turksoy, Turkic Foundation, and several others. It's great initiatives. We are greatly benefiting from inspiring each other, educating each other, sharing with each other, be it the language, be it the all our traditions, musical instruments, dances. It's great festivals we are hosting every year or visiting each other. But I believe this Organization of Turkic States, especially after recent economic success of Central Asian countries, you know how brilliant leadership is working, was in Uzbekistan, in Kazakhstan. I already said that we are also developing very rapidly. Of course, the recent success of our brotherly Azerbaijan in regaining its territorial integrity. As I said, we Turkic nations have great history, we have great legacy, but I believe that the best years are ahead of us. And I think we need to say about how the founder of Turkey, the great Mustafa Kemal, he announced that the century of Turkey, And I think the next century and the centuries afterwards, we owe it to our ancestors that we together must achieve even greater victories economically, politically, based on our great legacy.
Yes, and I want to talk a bit about trade corridors, and you talked about how Azerbaijan regained its territory, which paved the way for the normalization between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Also Turkey and Armenia are seeing that, and this will definitely have an impact on the trade corridors, I assume. So the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway project, it's becoming an important part of China's Belt and Road Initiative and the emerging Southern Corridor. So how does Kyrgyzstan see its role in this evolving connectivity network, and what kind of opportunities would it open also for the region, the wider region?
Absolutely. You know, we in Central Asia are one of the most distant from world oceans. From the seaports, we are landlocked countries. Now, of course, we are working very actively, and this is one of the key elements of President Sadyr Japarov's strategy to turn us into a regional hub, that we actually need to be connecting all the economies in the, we are bordering, of course, this number one economy in the world, People's Republic of China. We enjoy great relationship with that country. And of course, the new corridor, this Zangezur corridor, will be of great importance. Even without it, for example, the Caspian Sea connection, the sea link for the railways, for that transcontinental railroads, that actually will be the shortest route between Shanghai and Paris. It will cut down by 1 week the current times for the goods to be shipped across the continent. It is going to be a great game changer, not only for Kyrgyzstan, because it's opening up our economy, many of the mineral resources. And then, of course, when it comes to the Caspian Sea, until recent normalization of situation around Armenia-Azerbaijan border, but also very key aspect, the great political will displayed by President Erdogan, that now that Armenia is also going to benefit from opening up this Zangezur corridor, will serve the interest of all nations, and we are celebrating recent decisions that this land corridor will open up Central Asia and will greatly benefit Kyrgyz economy.
So what are your thoughts on the so-called Trump route? Because Washington is stepping up its focus on Central Asia. How is Kyrgyzstan responding to this renewed US attention?
Well, we celebrated and we are thankful for the, because any decision reached bilaterally or with the regional powers, we are not confident in its stability of that treaty holding. So it was important that President Trump hosted that ceremony in the White House. And then, of course, this corridor was named after him. And I believe there is some sort of American guarantees along the corridor. Whatever it is, this will greatly benefit the people of the South Caucasus. It will greatly benefit even countries like Kyrgyzstan. We expect this land corridor add in value billions of US dollars to our economy, because that will mean that our goods, both produced in Kyrgyzstan or transited via Kyrgyzstan, will reach European markets, Middle Eastern markets in safe and fast, secure way.
So that meeting of the US president and Central Asian leaders, after that also it was announced that Kazakhstan will be joining the Abraham Accords. What does this move mean for Central Asia? Would Bishkek consider doing the same?
I think, I was a bit surprised, of course, to say frankly, that by that announcement, because, all of Central Asian countries, we have the diplomatic relationship with Israel. And it's important to understand that up to 100,000 current citizens of Israel, they were born in Kyrgyzstan. We have lots of friends, lots of families, mixed families there in Israel. That's been the same for Kazakhstan, the same for Uzbekistan. A lot of Jewish population in Central Asia, they have returned to Israel. And so we have, in difference from Abraham Accord countries, we already have, I will say, some of us have close ties with Israel, some of us have a bit more distant, but we do enjoy strong diplomatic relations. And I think so this announcement by our Kazakh neighbors, I think it was, it has more, I think, symbolic meaning. I don't think that, if it is, we don't mind saying it once again. Of course, we are very much concerned by the humanitarian situation in Gaza. We do believe in the two-state solution. We support the state of Palestine. So given that, we wish these ancient lands around Jerusalem, the peace and prosperity. And if anything we can do to help restoring the peace on that land, we are ready to do it.
Kyrgyz President Sadyr Japarov just paid an official visit to Egypt, which is a historical visit. Not only the first visit to Egypt from a Kyrgyz president, but also to the African continent. Now, will this African initiative be limited to Egypt, or will we see it spread across the continent?
Thank you for that question. As I said, Kyrgyzstan is now, we will be having much more proactive position in the international sphere. So we are running to be elected next year as a non-permanent member in the Security Council. We have established good relationship with the observer status in the African Union. We have opened an embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and I think within a matter of months we are going to be opening an embassy in Cairo, Egypt. And you are right. In this interconnected world, we are following the lead of Türkiye, which has embassies around Africa. I visited a few countries this spring, and of course my visits and by bilateral outreach to the African countries were facilitated by great diplomats of Türkiye. And so yes, you are right, we are going to follow up on that historic visit by our president, and we are going to be expanding our cooperation with Africa.
All right, and one last question. Kyrgyzstan has sent over 150 tons of humanitarian assistance to Syria with logistical support from Türkiye. Is this a sign of the expanding diplomatic reach of Turkic nations in addressing regional crisis?
Yes. We wish we were much better logistically located to send more humanitarian aid, both as a state, as a country, but also the people. We have been sending some help also to Palestine and to Syria. I think, of course, going forward, we looked forward to becoming a responsible member of the international community. We believe in the Charter of the United Nations. We will be, as we grow our economy, more money is going to be allocated to not only for cultural ties and strengthening our diplomatic relationships, but also for humanitarian aid. And I think Syria, Palestine, and other countries are only the beginning. And you are right, it was very much logistically, it was facilitated by the great officers and forces of Türkiye. In the Middle East, we will be re-establishing our presence, and we wish for peace and security to be restored in this very important region.
Adil Baysalov, Deputy Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, thank you for sharing your insight with us. It was a pleasure to have you on Straight Talk. And that's all for this special edition of Straight Talk from Ankara. I'm Zeynep Gökçe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.